Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for our webinar. My name is Larry Kim, and I'm the founder of WordStream, and I'm here with Will Critchlow, the CEO of Distilled. And today our webinar is going to be about keyword strategy, everything you need to know about keywords for search engine success. This webinar presentation is brought to you in part by PPC University, or PPCU. It's a free learning resource for pay-per-click advertising available to you at www.wordstream.com/learn. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Larry Kim. I'm the founder and CTO of WordStream. I've been doing paid search for about 10 years, including keyword research. I have a lot of experience in this, and I'll be sharing with you today my own sort of proprietary process and workflow for doing keyword research, for dominating various categories within search. I'm joined by Will Critchlow, the founder of Distilled, and he's also an expert in search marketing, and he'll be covering sort of the fundamentals in terms of all the theory behind the keyword research. So I'll be focusing more on some of the practical matters of keyword research, and Will be focusing on the theory.
Hi everyone. My name is Will Critchlow from Distilled, and my job today is to talk to you a little bit about what I think keyword research is, how it's changed, and how it positions itself as useful in the evolving marketing mix, and looking at some of the bigger uses that we can put it to in driving your overall marketing strategy, before Larry comes in a little bit later and talks about the tactical details and how you actually execute it and put it to work in your business. So, starting from the beginning, what is keyword research? Well, at its very most basic, it is the process of understanding the words and phrases that people use to search on the major search engines when they're looking for content, products, services, or they're looking to navigate and find your website. But I think it's actually something that's much bigger than that, in the sense that it is a direct insight into the minds of consumers. It's the closest we ever get to seeing them in their own environment telling you exactly what it is they want. And old school market research would have done this through user panels and surveys and all those kinds of things. But in all of those scenarios, you're working in a somewhat unnatural environment, right? So you're getting people to imagine that they want something, and you're asking them what kind of variation of that thing they'd want. Whereas with keyword research, they're in their natural environment, they're actually looking for it right now, and it's unfiltered in that sense, and so you get really honest answers. And so I think it's much more than just understanding the ways people search for websites, and it's really much more about thinking, what is it they really want? What is it that that differentiates different customers for them? What is it that they're looking to achieve? And you can look for the gaps in that and see how your USP fits into the market opportunities. So, to my mind, keyword research is modern market research, and we should treat it in that kind of sense. The traditional flow, which you can read about anywhere online, and also we'll talk a little bit more about later, for keyword research, has you stepping through this set of processes where you first of all discover the ways that this is kind of the raw data, the raw ways that people search when they're looking for a certain kind of product or service. And we can filter that based on all kinds of segments, but fundamentally we're just trying to capture data at this stage. So we discover the ways they search, and then we need to start making some sense of that. So to do that, we typically group the keywords together into themes or kind of conceptual areas, so that we can start drilling down and making some sense of them. The next stage, which follows that, is understanding those themes and those concepts. So not just looking at the words and phrases that the consumers use, but actually drilling a level deeper than that to understand why those are the words and phrases they've used, what they're actually looking for, and crucially, how our own company's product or service or offering can satisfy that need, and also can position us well to win their business. And once we've done that, we can value the various different themes, opportunities, and keywords, so that we can prioritize them and put them to work. But Larry's going to talk a little bit more later on about the two ends of this, so both the discovering stage and the valuing of keywords. And I wanted to focus my session mainly on the understand element. And I think this is crucial because when we think about market research, what we're looking for is insights. Data is all well and good, and actions are definitely beneficial, but the thing that the magic sauce, if you like, the thing that we're really looking for to help us win is to understand the intent of the consumer, understand what they're looking for, and find those intersections between what we have, what they want, and what our competitors maybe aren't as good at. So we're going to focus a little bit on the understanding. So keyword research is market research, but it's also creative planning. It also sits into the work that we do in our publishing. Brands increasingly looking like publishers, especially online, where essentially everything is content. And it's crucial to realize, I think, as we do this, that it has changed over the years. And if you've been doing keyword research since the early days of the web, you'll have realized that not only have the data sources changed, but user behavior has changed. And I guess the biggest tactical impact is that that we don't necessarily have access to all the data that we used to have. So the search engines, particularly Google, has moved towards what they call not provided, where they don't necessarily tell you even the keywords that people used to search before they clicked through and came to your website, which is limiting in a variety of ways. And also the data that they, through the same mechanism, the data that third parties can collect, which you can gather and query in aggregate, has changed over the years. And so we don't necessarily have access to the same granularity of data in some areas, but there's still more data being produced than ever before, and we still have the opportunity to gather some of these insights that I'm talking about. I highly recommend reading this article. You'll get the slides separately, and it'll have the link in it, but to a study done by Conductor, which was before and after the release of the new keyword planner tool. So this is a tool from Google that releases data on the search volumes and competitiveness for different keywords. It's a crucial tool in our armory, but it has evolved over the years. So the old keyword tool was better in many ways, unfortunately, and the new one is perhaps slightly more focused on the advertising sales that Google needs to do. But Conductor did this study which showed that some discrepancies between the data presented by the old tool and the new tool. And the biggest takeaway for me here is not those tactical differences, but is more that we should realize that what we're looking at here is not perfect data. And it never will be, because we're working with third-party platforms and they have incentives not necessarily to give us all of the data. It doesn't necessarily drive what we do, it just drives how we think about the keyword research. And in particular, it drives how we present it to our clients or our bosses. And I think it emphasizes even more the need to think about, to focus on this understanding, this insights piece, rather than to focus on exact ordering and saying, this keyword is definitely searched for 1.5 times as much as that keyword. So I wouldn't fixate on the numbers. I see keyword research largely as a qualitative play, and we're looking, like I said, for those insights and understanding. But there's a more structural reason why it's difficult to gather perfect data about keywords, and that's from a theory called the long tail, which some of you may be familiar with from a book of the same name, which talks about the differences in human behavior online versus offline. So offline, the Pareto principle typically holds, which is also called the 80-20 law, which says that 80% of the benefit comes from 20% of the things. So this is the idea that in most retail operations, for example, 80% of the turnover comes from 20% of the SKUs of the products that business sells, and it holds true across quite a broad range of things in the physical world, in the real world. But online, it gets kind of turned on its head, and in a surprising way, which is that the source of this is that whereas in the offline world, inventory is expensive. It's expensive to hold things in stock. Physical spaces at a premium. There's a large incremental cost to stocking more things. In the online world, those things are generally not true. having a bigger website is not a lot more expensive than having a smaller website. Because you're taking an order and then fulfilling it, you can often utilize just-in-time practices and clever things with your supply chain that mean that it's not necessarily more expensive to list a broader catalog than it is to have a smaller catalog. And what this all builds up to doing is saying that unlike the offline world where we get this 80-20 rule, it's typically not the case online that 80% of the benefit comes from 20% of the things. In particular, it's not true about keywords. So if we think about keyword volume, as in how many people search for each keyword, in aggregate, it's definitely not true that 80% of the searches come from 20% of the keywords. There's this incredible long tail of keywords that are searched very infrequently, maybe only once a month or even less frequently than that, and many of them have never even been seen before in the entire life of the internet up till this point. That's the part that really blows my mind, and that it's particularly the part that means that perfect keyword research is never really possible. So this is the idea that Google has now at this point seen trillions of unique keywords, and yet supposedly every day 20-25% of the keywords that they see are brand new. They've never been searched for before, which shows us both the power of human ingenuity to find new ways to search for old things, but also the amount of new content being produced, the amount to which things are driven by events in the real world, and all of those things create search phrases that have never been on the horizon before. And all of this adds up to be one more reason why keyword research is really about understanding the shape of the market, rather than perfectly quantifying all those keywords, because in many cases that's literally impossible because they haven't happened yet. So we're looking for that insight. And I wanted to spend the bulk of this talk running through some tools and tricks that I've used and that we use at Distilled to try and gain some of that understanding and some of that insight. The first of these is using what's called Search Suggest, which is when you start typing a query at Google and you get this drop-down list of suggested queries. And the important thing, I think, in order to gain this insight and gain the understanding, first of all, is to understand what the tools that you have at hand do. So what we want to do is understand, what is Google telling us when it gives us this kind of Search Suggest list? What it's in fact telling you is that Google is saying we have inventory for these searches. Essentially, we have answers. So here's a list of searches that are related to the one it looks like you're typing. If you'd like to perform any of these searches, I know that I have an answer. I know that I have a web page that I'm going to send you to. In other words, this is largely driven off publishing data. So when you're doing Search Suggest, you're kind of getting an insight into what people have already published a lot of content about. And this is useful for gaining insights not only into what your competitors are up to, but also into the broader market space and understanding the themes that people have found interesting to write about in the past. Doesn't mean you should avoid these necessarily, but it should all feed into your understanding of the plan that you're going to build out. While you're at it, you should remember a trick that, I picked it up from Tom Anthony here at Distilled, but I'm sure he didn't make it up, which is that you can actually use wildcards when you're searching in order to see a more complete list of search suggested terms. So the example here, so I've used an underscore, you can also use an asterisk. If you use an underscore in the middle of a phrase, so in this case, best underscore for hiking, Google will replace the underscore, will treat the underscore as a wildcard. In other words, we'll look for the things that people have written about that use all of the words that you've used and have something else in that wildcard space. So the example we've done here, best underscore for hiking, Google has come up with best GPS for hiking, best socks for hiking, best day pack for hiking, best shoes for hiking. And straight away we get to see an outline of what the marketplace looks like in publisher terms. So these are all things that people have written about on the internet. The flip side to publisher volume is searcher volume, and to a large degree, the related searches, which are at the bottom of the page when you've completed a search. So Search Suggest drops down as you're typing. But when you've hit enter, when you've completed your search, and you scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see a section of related searches. And these are related not necessarily semantically. You'll often see things that don't use the same words and phrases that you used in your search query, nor are they related by publisher. These are related by searcher behavior. So these are searches that other people who did the search you did also do. A little bit like Amazon's people who bought this product also bought that. Now, they are they're interesting partly because they speak to searcher volume, or searcher behavior rather, and partly because they aren't necessarily exactly syntactically or semantically related. So firstly, they're related to searcher behavior. So they're not raw search volume. These are not the most searched for words and phrases ever. They're the ways that people typically refine the search that you did. So this example here is for, I did a search for New York graphic designer, and the ways that people typically refine that search are in these ways. And so they're kind of like the search funnel. They're the searches that people do after they've done the search that they started with. And this can be really useful for mapping out the mindset of the consumer and for seeing the ways that the space fits together. You can see examples of it not necessarily needing to be an exact match keyword phrase related if you do searches for brands. So if you do a search for a luxury car brand like Mercedes, there's a fair chance that you'll find related searches for other luxury car brands that don't even mention Mercedes. Audi, for example. And the reason that they're connected together is through that searcher behavior. The path that people take to refine their search is, they sometimes iterate through a list of car brands. And Google knows that, and so it's presenting that to you in related searches. So as a marketer, this really helps you map out the mindset of the consumers that you're trying to target. I mentioned the keyword planner tool earlier, and despite its limitations, it's got some really nice functionality. And one of the features it offers is this ability to pull out keywords related to a page, to a URL. So you type in your URL and you say, dear Google, tell me what keywords you think people would search for in order to find this page. This is useful on your own pages to check that your targeting is correct and that you're coming across the way you want to come across. But I really liked an article that Dan Shaw wrote. He credited Josh in it, where they experimented with a number of ways of putting in URLs that you don't own in order to get insights into, like I say, the shape of the market. And this helps you explore the edges and the outer reaches of words that are related to the thing you're searching for. And the examples they give, you can go and read their article, the examples they give include things like dropping in the Wikipedia page, which is a really clever example to my mind, because not only does it get you a broad brush set of key phrases related to the topic, but because of the nature of the way that Wikipedia is produced, where people are where it's collaboratively edited, and therefore largely edited by your target market, you get to understand the words and phrases that your target market uses rather than the jargon that you might use yourself. But they've got some other great examples, and I love this one that I used in the screenshot, which is the idea of using Freebase, which is a structured data database that Google bought a while ago that contains information about nouns, essentially. So it tells you how different concepts are connected together. It would hold the information that, for example, Rome was the capital of Italy, would be one of the facts that would be contained in Freebase. And when you're writing about a topic or a noun that Freebase knows about, dropping that noun page into Keyword Planner can help you get a really good concept of what the space around that noun looks like. And this all helps with you really fleshing out the understanding of how people think and search in these spaces. While you're doing this, you should definitely pay attention to the data that you're capturing on your own website. And this is not; these are not the searches that people use to reach your website. I'm talking here about site search. In other words, searches people perform once they're already on your website, if your website has a search box. It's really easy to track this stuff. If you're using Google Analytics, then you just need to set it up to tell Google what a search results page looks like on your site and how to pull the keyword out of the URL. Once you've done that, it tracks it all automatically, and you can run reports for the most searched for things, unfulfilled searches, all this kind of stuff. And the great thing that I like about this, using this data to drive your market research, is that it's telling you a whole set of things that are really important when it comes to building out content for your website. It's telling you not only does somebody want information about this thing, but crucially, they couldn't find it on your website. So either you don't have it, in other words, you haven't written this content yet, or it's not easily findable via your navigation. Now, both of those are problems, but they're problems in different kinds of ways. And but when you see big glaring opportunity, when you see somebody searching for something on your website that should be critical to their interactions with you, then it's a really good signpost that you need to make that content more visible on your website. And then when you get down into the longer tail reaches of it, it gives you insight into the kinds of things people wish you would write about. And these are more often content gaps or things that that you haven't written about yet. And I just love the intersection of that desire and unfulfilled need. This is a user not only telling you they want something, but telling you they can't find it. And I think that's really powerful. Google Trends is a great source of data relating to how search volume fluctuates over time. And so this helps you pull out the times of year when search volume in your industry spikes. Some of this data will be very obvious and very, you could just do it off the top of your head without using a tool, but it will also help you identify other things that spike at around the same time. One of the tools within Trends lets you say, show me related keywords by seasonality. In other words, these are not semantically related. They're not even necessarily related in the search funnel. These are things that when there's a spike in searches for keyword A, there's also a spike in searches for keyword B. And that can help you build out related content and go after new market opportunities. When you scroll down the page on the Google Trends, you get to see segmentation by region. And zoomed out, that's basically just telling you where in the world speaks your language. But as you zoom in, you get to see in a more concrete way what regional variations there are, how it varies by town, city, or state, and you get to build out a plan for attacking those things. And you see the related terms over there on the right-hand side, which again are terms that peak at the same times. Now, this is something that we've used in the past particularly to highlight the differences between the UK and the US. And most memorably, we made a recommendation to an e-commerce retailer that was moving into the UK market from the US to point out the differences between the way people search around the holidays. So in the United States, the big shopping holidays around Thanksgiving, and you have Black Friday and Cyber Monday, those kind of times of year when people search, and retailers target those very heavily with content. They push sales at that time of year, they push their advertising that way, and so forth. In the UK, one of the big shopping holidays is Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, and Boxing Day sales are a cultural event in the UK in a similar way to Black Friday. And at the time, at least, the two things were done very differently in the two countries, and so there were very few people running Black Friday sales in the UK, and very few American retailers running Boxing Day sales. And so we pushed our client to say you should be running a Boxing Day sale in the UK and get out ahead of that opportunity. So yeah, this helps you understand and drive insight as to why there might be differences in region or in dialect. And once you've gathered all of this insight and this understanding, my mind there are a number of actions that it should feed into in your marketing plan. And I'm going to hand over to Larry to talk about some of the more specific details into how you can gather the data, how you can prioritize it, how you can rank the value of it. But before I do that, I just wanted to very quickly point out the places that I think this feeds into your marketing plan. The first is in competitor research, which is to say, you've got these keyword themes, you've got these concepts, and you might want to know what a specific competitor is doing in that area. And Google itself is actually a great tool for doing that with structured advanced queries like a site query or in URL, in title, those kinds of things. We actually have a free module in our Distilled U training platform on search operators. So if that's not something that you're familiar with, you can head on over there, sign up for a free account, and it will teach you in an interactive way. It's a little bit like Code Academy, where you get to type in answers as you go, and it helps you refine your searches. It will teach you some useful, they're called operators, that you can use in a Google search to restrict to certain things. So this search, for example, is searching the site competitor.com and is looking for the exact words in the quotes, the key phrase in this case. And by using this across a few different competitors, you can get an understanding of the shape of the market, the content that's done well in that space, and help to build out the gaps that you can go and target. I like to think here particularly not only about your direct competitors, in other words, your the people who you think of as being like you, but it's also worth thinking about your search result competitors, which are people who might rank for the queries you want to rank for. Often they're media companies or broader competitors. So if you're a hotel website and you write about your local area, then a more general travel website might also write about that same area and potentially conflict with you on some of those local terms. So you can build out a shape of the market using competitor research. It should drive your information architecture and your website structure, and this is the idea that the biggest words and phrases that you're targeting, the most powerful ones, where there's the most competition and where there's the most volume, need to be the things that are most prominent on your website. And that's for a variety of reasons, not only for search opportunity and the chance of ranking for those things, but also because that's what users want. And so back to the site search example, these are the things that people need to be able to find very easily on your website by navigating to them rather than having to perform a search on your website. And they should drive, keyword research should drive your content strategy. You should have a content calendar designed to hit these high points and to backfill in as much of the long tail as you can. This is the thing that Larry's going to talk a lot about, and he's an absolute expert in that, so we should all look forward to hearing his tips. If you have any other questions, you can hit me up. My contact details are on screen, and it's been a pleasure joining this webinar. I'm going to hand over to Larry now and look forward to hearing his tips. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Will. That's a great overview. I appreciate that information, great information. At this point, I think we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about taking all of that information that you just presented and sort of implementing that into a actionable keyword strategy for your business. And so before jumping into all the steps here, I just wanted to kind of give you my take on keyword research, and that is that I kind of view keyword research as a game of global domination. If anyone's ever played the game Risk, I think this is a really good analogy because the goal of this game is to run the tables and conquer all the territory on the map. And I think that's kind of how I think of keyword research in terms of my PPC and SEO combined strategies. So what do I mean by this? I think this was April 7, 2009, so that's roughly, 5 years ago. I started blogging. The first blog post on my blog was called "Welcome to my blog." I was very creative, and it got a total of 0 tweets and 0 LinkedIn shares and 2 Facebook thumbs up, and I think one of them was me, and maybe one of them was like a worker here. But the point is, you start off really small, but this is what effective keyword research can look like over time. So this is sort of my blog traffic over time, starting in January of 2009 or spring of 2009 at roughly nothing at all. Eventually to the point today where we're generating over 600,000 visitors to the blog every month. And even more impressively, we are growing that traffic consistently at a rate of 8% per month over the last 60 months. And the question is, how do you do something like this? And if you just stick around for just a few more minutes today, I will reveal to you my secret strategy that we will just keep between ourselves here. So yeah, specifically in my strategy for keyword researching, I'm going to show you how I go about picking and grouping and organizing the different keywords. And particularly, one of the important steps has to do with prioritizing the keyword research that you generate, and additionally, how to then act on the keyword research in terms of your paid search and organic search strategies in order to get lots of traffic and money to your site, so you can just kick up your feet and let the traffic roll in. So, in any global domination strategy, you need a plan. And so this is the plan for me here, was to try to make it so that you could show up in virtually every conceivable keyword relating to internet marketing. So like if you're searching for keyword tool, which is something that every internet marketer would search for, I wanted my website to show up, whether you're searching for landing page optimization or pay-per-click marketing or, link building, like any possible word that you can think of relating to internet marketing, to dominate this search category, you need a plan, and that plan is called sort of a keyword taxonomy. A keyword taxonomy has to do with coming up with all of the different ways that people are searching for products and services within your industry niche. And the key here is in the early stages, you just got to be really exhaustive and specific and relevant, and coming up with a big list of all the different ways that people can think of searching for your business. This list, by the way, could be tens of thousands of keywords. It could be hundreds of thousands of keywords. For WordStream, it's actually in the hundreds of thousands of keywords. I know some companies that have millions of keywords on their list. But the point is, you have this big exhaustive list, and then what you do is that you group and organize those keywords into niches. So the general idea here is that not every keyword has a different keyword intent. There could be multiple search queries with similar intent in terms of like they're kind of looking for the same thing. So you can kind of group and organize keyword searches with similar intent into smaller lists, also known as keyword niches. And so once you've gotten these keyword niches, you need to then prioritize the work, because the reality is that if there's tens of thousands of keywords or hundreds of thousands of keywords, that means that there's way more keywords than hours in the day to come up with paid search ads or organic content. So you need to kind of prioritize your work so that you're focusing your energy sort of where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Very, very important, this notion of prioritization. We'll cover that in just a second. And then finally, it's not just about the theory of coming up with your keyword list and grouping and prioritizing it. You have to take action. You have to balance sort of the researching and then actually turning that research into concrete actions, such as new content or new ad groups within your various campaigns. So at this point, I thought I could just give a live demo of sort of my process that I use in terms of coming up with the keyword research for my blog. And so to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to be using the Google Keyword Planner here. And the way it works is you have to type out all the words that are relevant to your business. So maybe it's like PPC advertising, or link building, or SEO, or AdWords, or landing page optimization. Search engine marketing. Conversion rate. So the point is, like, you could spend a lot of time coming up with lots of different seed keywords, and then what you do is you then click Get Ideas. Now, if this was a real plan, rest assured this would be a much bigger list. But I'm just going to give you kind of an idea of how this process works. One of the really neat things I love about the Keyword Planner is that it gives you both lists of keywords. So this is like, all of the different keywords, and expansions of those different keywords. It also can group those keywords for you into different niches. So I think that's pretty interesting, because like here you can do like, search engine rankings. And remember how I was saying there's multiple ways of searching on similar keywords. Well, these 9 different keywords have very similar intent. They're all related to like improving search engine rankings or top search engine rankings. It might not be necessary to come up with different pages of content for every one of these keywords, or rather you could maybe come up with one article, which then includes various keywords within that article. To sort of cast a wider net and be able to rank on a portfolio of keywords. And similarly, it might not be necessary to come up with like a different ad group for every one of these keywords. Rather, you could have one ad group contain all of these keywords, and I think you could point it to one landing page and assume that these are all very similar in intent. So again, very powerful. I happen to love the keyword planner. I know a lot of people don't like it very much, but I think when they redid it last year, they made it much more along the lines of how I think about my keyword research. And so the point of this is to you first add the keywords to your plan. All right, by clicking Add to Plan, you then sort of proceed to a second stage where you review various estimates. So here what you do is you just enter a large bid. It's trying to forecast sort of how many clicks you'll get based on bids and budgets. But let's just assume that we have a kind of an infinite budget just to see kind of what the costs would be like if we could soak up all of the available clicks that were available in our various geo-targets, so United States English on the Google Search Network. So I just put in hopelessly big numbers just so that I don't, so Google doesn't throttle back on the numbers. These are first position rankings and the prices and the number of clicks, given that first page rankings. So what I can do here is I can now that I have all the keywords and the estimates, I can now download the plan. And so what I like to do is download it as a Excel CSV, and hopefully this will load, and I can just load the file here, save file. And here it is. So what I like to do here is just delete a couple of these rows that just summarizes the data. And the key fields that I care about a lot are this one here, the keyword, all right, followed by the monthly search volume, the competition estimate, as well as the estimated bid for the first place. Now, the reason why these, like, there's other interesting metrics here, but these three are really the key ones that I mostly care about. The reason is because let me just highlight this one here. The reason is because this will help me with my prioritization. Like, there's 800 keywords on this list, but it's really important that you, when you're getting started, you focus on one ad group at a time and one organic search listing at a time, and you want to make it so that when anyone does any search, relating to the products or services in your niche, you want to have something show up, either your ads or your organic listings, or ideally both, if that makes sense for your business. And so, how do I know to go after one keyword versus the other keywords? Well, the answer is I prioritize based on this little formula that I will be sharing with you here. So I'll call it, Larry's priority. All right, and the way that I define this priority is I take the number of monthly searches, okay, so 1,300 searches for website optimization. I multiply that by the competition, which is, I'm sorry. You multiply it by the suggested bid, okay, and then I divide it by the competition level on that keyword, right? So let me explain to you why that works, all right? So, but first, let me just copy this down all the way down here. Great. And maybe we can sort on that here. So we'll just do a sort data sort on the Larry's priority in largest to smallest order. And we can, there's some with like division by 0. We can just delete that, and we can just look through here. So basically, what's happening here is let's look at that formula again. It has to do with the average monthly search volume, so 49,500. That's the kind of gives you an extent of the opportunity that's available here. Obviously, you would want to prioritize keywords with more searches rather than less searches, and so that's why I start with the average monthly search volume. Now, why do I multiply it by the suggested bid? Well, the reason is because paid search, it has lots of different advertisers that are bidding for different keywords, and so the price of a keyword can give you an indication of the value of the commercial value of that keyword. So like if people are bidding $20 or $30 for that keyword, chances are it's a very valuable keyword that you would want to prioritize either in your organic or paid search efforts. Whereas if it's a 5-cent keyword, then maybe it doesn't have as much commercial intent. Like I noticed that this one here, Google Analytics, has a suggested bid of just 6 pennies, and the reason for that is because it's not a commercial query. People who search for Google Analytics are mostly looking to just log into Google Analytics, and so people tend to not click on the ads for that particular keyword, and so that would be an example of a keyword with low commercial intent. So I just multiply through the number of searches times the suggested bid to kind of get sort of the market capitalization or a value of the total economic value that is on the table presented by a particular keyword opportunity. I then divide by competition. Why would I divide by competition? Well, the reason is because just because you're targeting a keyword doesn't mean that you'll be, fortunate enough to either rank organically or get your ads in a prominent position. I mean, hopefully that works out for you, but there's no guarantee. And the higher the competition, the less likely it is that you'll be competitive. Like it's just like it's kind of like going into the big leagues. Whereas like the lower the competition, the more likely that you will be successful. And so by normalizing, by dividing by competition, and by the way, Google reports competition level on a number between 0.00 to 1.0. It's sort of a real number. So like 1 would be sort of a very high competitive keyword, like this one here, like this one here, advertising for whatever reason, or online marketing, 0.92, or SEO companies, 0.97. These are very close to 1, so that would mean that they're very, very high competitive keywords, whereas other keywords such as, SEM here, 0.3, that's much lower competition relative to some of those other keywords. So by dividing the market capitalization, like the volume times the price, dividing by the competition, that kind of gives me a better sense for what to target based on what's realistic for me to achieve, because it's not guaranteed that you will rank on a keyword just because you target it. And so what I then do is I copy through that formula, and you can see it gives me a really good idea of like all the keywords, sort of out of the hundreds of these keywords, like what kind of order I should be tackling these. And so what I've really done is I've just gone through the list and made it so that I rank on all of them. So for example, keyword tool. Well, actually, I showed you that one before, but here I am in the second spot there, or even the word just keyword. Let's see. I'm not sure if we rank on that one, but let's give it a try. Yeah, there it is, keyword. So it's like somewhere on the first page. I think typically we would also have, like ads showing up too, but I think that I have the ads turned off for this particular IP address. But do you see what I mean? Like for all of the above keywords, all I do is I just rank order the keywords based on the economic value and the competition value, and then go through the list, coming up with either one piece of content, kind of themed content for each primary keyword, and or one ad group that targets that keyword, in the ads. And so I have basically kind of given you away my strategy here. It's not really a get-rich-quick strategy. I mean, I got to tell you, we do spend, millions of dollars creating content, and promoting the content, and managing the AdWords campaigns, and just spending on ad campaigns in general. So it's not really like a get-rich-quick scheme. It's more of a kind of a disciplined, create several pieces of content per week over 6 years, and what you'll see is sort of a get-rich-slow strategy, but it's slow and steady wins the race, right? So I think that kind of summarizes, hopefully gives you an idea of how I look at the whole universe of keywords that are related to my business, and how I systematically go after every keyword one by one, like in priority order, and then just kind of building out kind of a land grab that just dominates everything. So just try it yourself. Do some searches on keywords that are related to internet marketing. Check to see if content from WordStream shows up. If you see something like that, that was because of my plan, which was intentional. And just so you have it here, here's my top secret, keyword prioritization formula, where you take the priority, you multiply the estimated volume from the keyword planner times the estimated cost per click, and then normalize by the keyword competition level, which is only available in the keyword planner when you export the data into a spreadsheet file. If you don't export the data and you're only looking at the keyword planner user interface, what you'll see is they say something like high, medium, and low, and so that's just like a almost like a binary sort of thing, or ternary. So that's not as helpful. But when you export it, that number gets translated into a real number between 0 and 1. And again, volume, that's proportional to the opportunity. Estimated cost per click is proportional to commercial value, and the keyword competition number, that's proportional to your likelihood of success. Now, in this case, the keyword planner is giving you paid search competition. However, I have found that paid search competition levels are a good proxy for organic search competition levels as well, because the same keywords that people are bidding on, in paid search and trying to pay lots of money for because they're so valuable, those tend to be the same keywords that a lot of smart organic search marketers like to also try to target because they're also very valuable. I think that there's some parallels there. If you want, you can definitely swap out the keyword competition metrics with something like the Moz keyword difficulty tool data, or some other formula that you have internally that is kind of geared towards estimating kind of keyword competition, like maybe KEI or whatever. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about how to take those prioritized keyword niches and apply it to on-page SEO. And so basically my favorite website from an SEO perspective is Wikipedia. Why? Because they think about keyword research the same way I do. They're trying to dominate every word in the encyclopedia. Like, what could be more sort of ambitious, than trying to show up for every search in the encyclopedia? And so take for example this search for venture capital. So how the heck do they rank on every keyword search in the world? Well, it's or most of them, somewhere in the top 10. And the answer is they have very themed topical content. So in this keyword search for venture capital, you can see that they have a specific URL for this topic, and within that topic, they not only write about venture capital, but they also sort of create they leverage the use of variations like venture capitalist, venture capital, ventures, VC fund, etc. Ventures. So what they're doing is they're trying to weave sort of cast a wider net so that this article ranks for both the primary keyword of the niche and also the variations of how people search for things. Remember, people search for the same thing in many different ways. And so another cool thing that they do is they have this very strong internal linking structure where, if you happen to have an article that's that's mentioned in a keyword within your article, what you can do is you can do an internal link. So private equity then goes to the focused page on private equity, or capital markets here, where it's linked here, that will link to a page that talks about what are capital markets or bank loans. And similarly, there's other pages on Wikipedia that talk about venture capital. Those would all link back to this page, which is the designated kind of page on venture capital. And you can kind of see how having a taxonomy can be very helpful, because what it'll allow you to do is keep track of all the pages of content that you've created, so that you know what pages to link to and what pages to link from as you're creating your content. So that's pretty interesting. I wanted to talk about applying this keyword research for paid search because, like I said, I'm not biased one way or the other. I believe that you need to dominate, both the paid and the organic, ideally, if possible. And so in paid search, it can be very, very expensive to be paying for keywords. And so what you want to do is you want to get these discounts on the cost per click by having something called a high quality score. Basically, Google rates the quality of your ads and gives you, either a score from 1 to 10, 10 being like that's a really, really good quality ad, and 1 is like a terrible ad. And so the higher your quality score, the better your ad exposure, the lower your cost per click, and the better the cheaper your conversions. And so the best way to optimize your PPC campaigns for quality score is to get very, very high click-through rates, right? And so the whole algorithm is based on beating an expected click-through rate for any given ad position. And so one really powerful way to get above average click-through rates has to do with the keyword grouping. So on the left here, it's where it says bad. Imagine if I kind of group together these kind of top-level entities like cat, dog, fish, bird, snakes, guppies, and kind of group them together as one ad for an online pet superstore. Well, that's not a very good ad, because the person looking for dog, maybe they were looking for dog photos, or it's the person looking for cat, who knows, like maybe they were looking for like adopting a cat or something. Like, these keywords are just hopelessly broad and unspecific, and what you should be doing is be kind of breaking them down into that taxonomy, where you break the keywords into either niches or sub niches, or basically subcategorizations, where you can then sort of better infer the intent of the searcher and reflect that back in the content of your ads. And you can see how that you can make this increasingly granular by going after sort of canned cat food rather than just cat food, and then reflecting that back on the ad copy. And so these are effectively the keyword niches that we just used previously for the organic search. It's like, one page per keyword niche, and or one ad group per keyword niche. And having this kind of strategy allows me to really dominate the results for the keywords that matter to my business. I just wanted to give you a little note here on keyword intent. So different types of keywords have different intent associated with them in terms of like what was the reason why the person was searching for a keyword. So it turns out that there's some keywords that are better targeted for SEO, and some keywords that are better targeted for paid search. And so it has to do with the intent of the search. So in in commercial queries. So these are the types of queries where somebody is looking to buy something, such as stainless steel dishwasher, or Volkswagen Jetta review, or something like this. Like for keywords where people are clearly looking to buy something, what we find is that the paid search does much better. Why is this? Well, it's because Google also knows that someone is looking to buy something, and in that case, they like to show their ads. And so often they like to show, the entire page with 85% of the above the fold pixels will be occupied by ads. And just the 8.9% of the page that is dedicated to organic search. You can see how it would be very difficult for a small or medium-sized business to be competitive here, because there's only like 1 or 2 spots here above the fold. And who's it going to? Well, it's going to Sears and Nextag. Both are like fairly big brands. It might be very difficult to compete against those companies for organic search. But there's many more ad spots, 8 product listing spots and 3 ad spots above the fold. So that gives you an idea of why I think that for keywords with high commercial intent, you might be better off targeting those keywords using ads. Now, the opposite of keywords with high commercial intent are keywords with informational intent. So that's like where the intent of the searcher is looking for information. They're not looking to buy something. They just want to learn some information about something that they're researching, such as who is Thomas Jefferson. So that person is clearly not looking to buy something. And so what happens is Google doesn't even bother showing ads in the first place. So this would be a very hard keyword to target with ads, because Google doesn't like to bother users with ads on informational queries. They would rather just throw up the knowledge graph and just Wikipedia and biography.com, like informational sites with in-depth information that offers the best answer to these kind of informational questions. And so these types of pages, these types of keyword searches, are actually much better targeted using organic search, like using kind of long-form content on your blog. And so I just wanted to highlight something here, and that is that Google really, like, this is something that we've discovered, and that is that Google expects a lot of performance of your ads. It's not possible to bid on the word "who is Thomas Jefferson" because the people, like in terms of an ad strategy, it wouldn't work, because people would not click on that ad because they're not looking to buy something. And Google has a sort of an expected click-through rate for your ads. So like if you're in the top position, they kind of expect those ads to perform at like a 5.5% click-through rate. If you're sort of in the third average ad spot, well then those ads better be performing at least a 3% minimum click-through rate, and et cetera. You kind of, as you go into less and less prominent positioning for your ads, there's like a lower expected click-through rate. Basically, the key here is that it's very difficult to go after informational keywords, because what will happen is you'll get these low, below average click-through rates because the people weren't looking to buy something, so they were ignoring your ads. And then what Google does is they actually shut down the ads for ads that fall way below the expected click-through rates, because they kind of deemed them as being kind of a nuisance or totally irrelevant. Like, why should they bother showing ads that nobody is clicking on? And so just like how Google is sort of crowding out the commercial keywords with ads and giving no room for ads, or sorry, no room for organic search results on commercial queries, the opposite is true for the informational keywords, where all of the space is dominated by organic results, and there's not even a single ad on the page. Now, and just here's some research in case you're wondering. Like, basically, we determined that all of this quality score stuff, it's just all about beating an expected average click-through rate, and the idea is to get above average click-through rates so that you can get these discounts of high click-through rate, high quality score keywords receive very, very cheap cost per clicks, whereas the low click-through rate keywords, and then this is like why paid search won't work for informational keywords. It's because they will penalize the cost per click by as much as 400% cost, like increasing the cost as kind of a disincentive for running kind of lousy ads that nobody are clicking on. So you can see how difficult that would be. So we talked a lot of very important strategic concepts. Hopefully this is all making sense to you. But what I showed you today was this notion of building a taxonomy. And that's sort of like this proprietary keyword research asset that you have kind of maybe in a Google Doc or a spreadsheet internal to your organization that just, it's the big list of all the keywords that you care about. It can't just be in someone's mind. You have to get it into a piece of document or something like this, and so that it can be shared and acted on by your team. One of the reasons why I think WordStream has been so successful is because as the founder and CTO of the company, I'm able to communicate our taxonomy as a very strategic asset to the various teams and groups and individuals who then implement the strategy of going after the taxonomy from a paid and organic search perspective. So we talked about the taxonomy and how to organize and specifically how to prioritize so many different keywords in so little time. Like, you probably don't have time to write thousands of blog posts. Well, you can write one blog post a week, and at least if you target them in the right order, then that'll be very helpful over time. Again, we talked about using that same keyword research. According to the intent of the search, you could target them using paid search or organic search, or in some cases there are some sets of keywords where the intent is ambiguous, in which case you can actually go after the keyword from both a paid search and an organic search perspective. And again, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a hard work, hard labor that you just have to come up with a plan and keep at it for years, really. So that kind of summarizes my presentation here. I wanted to just give you kind of two offers for your consideration. The first has to do was a WordStream offer. We're allowing you to grade your AdWords account for free. It's a really great offer to understand how you're doing in AdWords and kind of understand what are the problem areas and where can you improve. To try that out for free, go to www.wordstream.com/Google AdWords. Now, we also have another one called the landing page grader. This is a similar concept. It grades kind of the effectiveness of your landing pages in terms of the conversion rates and the cost per conversion and other adherences to best practices for landing pages. And if you're interested to know how your landing pages stack up against other landing pages that are in your industry being run by companies similar in size as your business, you can go to wordstream.com/landing-page. Distilled University also has a special offer for webinar attendees today, and this is from Will. He's offering attendees today a special 25% off Distilled's online university, which is a fantastic online resource for all things online marketing. I think it's top-notch and definitely worth the price of admission in terms of just the quality of the content, and you can check it out there at www.distilled.net/u. Now, that concludes our presentation for today. I thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Will. Have a great afternoon.